Hello and welcome to Puzzling Time. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about Burr puzzles. A Burr puzzle is a puzzle that is made primarily of interlocking pieces. Now if you look at Wikipedia, they'll talk about interlocking stick pieces made of wood. And this is traditionally what you would expect a Burr to look like. In fact, in a book from 1698, there is a picture of the Burr puzzle, and it looks a lot like this. I think it's by John Stewart. And then later that term Burr was coined by Wyatt in about 1927, 1928. And the name traditionally comes from the fact that it looks a little bit like a Burr seed. So that's where the name comes from. This particular puzzle is by Peter Marigny. It's made by Pat Golin, and it's the Piston Burr, which is a great Burr puzzle. Lots of intricate moves in this one. But don't be kind of too hung up on the fact that they look like this, because actually they can come in lots of different shapes and sizes and not necessarily made out of wood. For example, this is a 6-piece Burr made by the same person. Not sure of the name of this one. It's his own design. It's Pat Golin design. But that is a 6-piece Burr. And then over here we have a huge Burr, and this one is a 12-piece Burr. Now traditionally something like this would be treated as an assembly puzzle, and this one as a disassembly puzzle. And what kind of separates things from being a very simple assembly puzzle to a difficult disassembly puzzle is the number of moves you have to make. Now, moves for a Burr could be written as something like 12.5.321. Now, this here would indicate that you'd have 12 moves to take out the first piece, then 5 to take out the second, 3, 2, and 1. Then obviously the last piece is left on its own, so this would indicate a 6-piece Burr. And if we add up all the numbers, you could either refer to this as a level 23 Burr because there are 23 total moves, or you might refer to it as a level 12 Burr because that's what the first piece is. In fact, I've got a level 12 Burr. It's here, made by Brian Turner. This is Love's Dozen. So this is Love, the designer, came up with this, and it takes 12 moves to remove that first piece. It's made out of copper, brass, and aluminium. In fact, Brian Turner then went on to create a full set of pieces by Darrell Adams. So these are Darrell Adams pieces in his DDD set, which is Darrell's Dirty Dozen, I think it's called. And these were made by Brian Turner. The box was made by Eric Fuller at Cubic Dissection. And you can see this is what a Burr piece looks like. We have these notches cut out, and that allows them to kind of interlock and link together in a very particular way. It's a great set. This is still available. In fact, I just brought one out in stainless steel. On the reverse, you can see which 6 pieces you need to make your challenges up. I think I'm down to 9. I need to finish this off. I know I got stuck on 9 for a little while. So I need to finish off 9 and then 10. That's a great little Burr set, and sometimes you get these Burr sets, or you can just buy individual Burrs if they're kind of use to you. Now we've looked at a couple of traditional shapes. Obviously this traditional 6-piece shape is very common, but you can also get things that look like more like a pagoda or a chuck puzzle. So don't get too hung up on the actual shape. This is just as much a Burr as any of the others, as is this. This is another Pat Golin one. I've tried to take this apart, and this has so many start moves that it's really, really quite complicated. I'm determined to take this apart before Christmas comes and goes. You can also get Burrs that come in frames, are burrs that are clamped. So this one here is Christopher Loan's clamped burr, made by not Brian. It's made by Brian at Wood Wonders, and this is a wonderful puzzle. Very intricate. The pieces interact obviously with the frame. You've got to work out how to take the pieces out. It's a real. I thought this was a real challenge. It's got a couple of sneaky moves in there that the frame kind of throw in. Just looks absolutely beautiful as well. Very heavy, very hefty puzzle. So we can have clamped burrs like that, and then we start to move into what else can we have? We've got all these interlocking pieces, and yes, they can be wood, and yes, they can be metal or even 3D printed. We have little tiny 3-piece burrs. This is a really small 3-piece burr. This is a board burr, really. I think this is, I still call it a burr. It's 6 interlocking pieces. This one is by Yves Demarian, and it's called Knotty 6, I think. And the pieces linked together, and you've got to try and make this a symmetrical shape. I think the fact you're making this symmetrical shape, I class this more as a burr rather than an interlocking puzzle. You'll also notice with burrs as well, all the moves are orthogonal, so they're all up and down, left and right. You don't get any twists or turns. As soon as we get twisting in there, you're talking about turning interlocking cubes, or you're talking about rotating interlocking burrs. They're slightly different. For me, a burr does not involve any rotations of any pieces. Taking it even further, this is Tribalism. This one designed by Steve Nichols of Brass Monkey fame. I'll be giving this away on the Discord soon, actually. And you've got to put these pieces together, and again it's a burr, so no twisting, no turning, to make a very unique shape. But we can see the notches are for the 3 similar shaped pieces. So we're still getting similar shaped pieces, but now rather than just getting sticks with notches in, we can have boards. We have boards there as well. And if we look at those boards, there is this puzzle which has a burr in the name. So let's get it out. And this is the Rhombic maze burr. And the burr sections are these sliders. So these sliders, even though the puzzle is to only take one of these out, and the main problem is the maze, I have a video that describes this in detail. So if you want to understand this wonderful puzzle, please check out that video. But this here is named the Rhombic maze burr because we have these similar boards with these cut out notches inside, and that's what gives it kind of that burr name. Another interesting puzzle that looks nothing like a traditional burr or a more modern burr is the Maze Burr L, which is, it uses these notched sticks. So you can see the notched sticks there moving, and the idea of this one is a maze again. You're meant to put the ball into one hole, and then you move your pieces around, with your levers up and down, and then you try and get it out of the hole. Oh, you start off in one corner, in fact, and you've got to try and get it out of the hole. So you have to move the ball across. And again, I've made a video on this. It's a really fantastic puzzle with lots and lots of possible challenges. And finally, the last burr I want to show you, or variation of a burr, is this. And again, this is another burr. Oh, I forgot to mention, the Rhombic maze burr is made by, it's designed by Derek Bosch. It was Stefan Chivko who actually built that. This was Dinian Nandarian's puzzle, and built by him and designed by him. This one is another Steve Nichols build, but actually designed by Derek Bosch. This is just the stand. It stands up like this. It is referred to as the Sweeney Todd because of the barber stick look. And we can see just by moving this time we've got these notched pieces, but they're not straight, they're actually helical or helical, and they twist around, and the idea is to twist these on and off. There's a number of these puzzles actually. Another one I haven't got to hand at the moment, but I have in the other room, is the Vapors puzzle, which is twisted helical pieces inside the actual square unit. So this is a really interesting take on Burr puzzles, because these aren't interlocking sticks and notches, but actually twisting's involved. So I still class this as a form of Burr, but maybe now we're really starting to push the boundaries over whether this is a Burr or not, in my opinion. And don't forget, my opinion is wrong. For the most part, though, the Burr kind of family of puzzles has really kind of grown from, the days, surprisingly, of the 17th century, when this was the only kind of known Burr idea, the 3-piece, the 6-piece, the pagodas, the chuck puzzles, into things now which involve boards, involve many more pieces. They're clamped. They use the Burr pieces in very fun and fantastic ways. So just because you think, oh, actually I'm not into Burrs, or I don't think I'll really be into Burrs, I definitely recommend you try some out. They can be relatively cheap. Some of them you can just get on on eBay and places like that. If you really want to delve in, I definitely recommend getting the DDD set from Cubic Dissection. That is great, and then once you get hooked, you will end up buying other bits and bobs and just kind of falling in love with them, or ultimately hating them because you can't do them. I hope I haven't bored you too much. I hope some of that has been interesting. If you've got any questions about Burr puzzles, please write them below, and I'll try and answer them, or Google the answer and then write back to you what I found. That's all for now. Speak to you soon. Take care.